What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another video by yours truly. I finally got around to checking out Mr. Pokke's reaction to my reaction. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to go on the attack in this video. I just want to be real objective here and just point out the issue, like the whole thing that prompted me to make my video, which was a disservice to my content, a misrepresentation of my point of view, and taking me out of context to present an argument off of that very limited context. Again, the biggest problem, the intrinsic issue with out of context content is you can make anybody look however you want them to look because you're missing important context. And Pokke says something here that's just outright just fucking wrong, right? It's just like, there's no accountability. It's like deflecting, and it's just like, come on, my man, what are we doing here? Let's go ahead and check it out though. Look, I'll show you guys. Don't take it from me. I will show you the proof. Okay, so before we go into how Pokke took me out of context and misrepresented my point of view, I want to show you full context first, and then we'll go into what he did. But basically, and I'll show it in the video as well, I took a gander at Sensori Tower's revenue for Honkai Star Rail and Genshin Impact 5 months prior to Zenless Zone Zero's release, and I looked at each and every single one of them in the video. I already averaged them out here so you guys could take a look, but I basically said in the month of February, they made $185.5 million on the mobile app. And then in March, they made $213 million. In April, they made $227.5 million. I said in May, they made $140.6 million. And then in June, they made $163 million with the 3-day freeze. And that 3-day freeze was during the Firefly banner, which means 163 could have been 200 million. Who knows? Who knows what happened in the 3 days? It was 3 crucial days. And if it is true, yeah, this could easily have been 200 million. Who the fuck knows? Anyways, when you average out February, March, April, May, and June, you come out to an average of $185.92 million per month for the 5 prior months before Zenless Zone Zero's release. Now, I wanted to gather more than 5 months of data, but here's the issue. Sensori Tower didn't start calculating in China's revenue until the month of February. So if you go and look at January and all the months prior to February, you're not going to get the China revenue. You're only going to get global revenue, which sucks. But the reason that's important information is because you'd probably be able to see that Honkai Star Rail and Genshin continued to make similar figures here in those other months, which means they've been making this number for quite a while. And so my point in that video was, I said in the month of July, they made 167.8 million with a debut launch of ZZZ, double top-up bonus, hype, FOMO, all that stuff. And they made 167.8 million, which falls below their average, their 5-month trailing average. So I said, can we actually call this a success? When you look at this objective information, that is a fair thing to state. Why? Because with a new live service game comes new live service fees, okay? It's just period. And I don't know if you guys know how expensive live service games are. I'm going to show you here in a bit, but I'll just put some of them down. First of all, you have the development costs, which that could be like $100 million. It really can. These games are very fucking expensive. Then you have the live service fees, you know what I mean? And that can go anywhere from updates, maintenance, user acquisition, a lot of volume in these Hoyo games, a lot of people downloading the game. Guess what? It costs money for that download to constantly be playing the game on all these different publishers like iOS, Apple, PC, whatever you name it, console. That shit all costs money. They have to pay a fee for all of that. There's a number of different fees that go into it, but basically what I was trying to say that I didn't think I had to spell out, but apparently I have to spell out, is if they didn't meet the average right here, they didn't meet the average with a third, because here's the other thing, 3 IPs versus 2 IPs, right? People keep saying that these were dead patches, but they fail to mention that there's a third IP now. It's 3 versus 2, which is very important, man. So I was saying, in order for this to be impressive for me, I mean, I never said this in the video, but I was definitely implying that in order for this to be impressive for me, I would need this to be like 150 million. Then I'd be like, oh, damn, ZZZ popped off. You know what I mean? But what I was getting at is that the new IP dropped. They underperformed from their average, but their expenses went up. There's no question about this. So you dropped a new IP. Your revenue didn't go up, but your expenses did. You see what I was trying? And that's what I was getting at. Now, let's go ahead and take a look. And that wasn't the only point of the video. I then proceeded to go into many different facets, but I want to show you guys something. Okay, so I asked this AI, how much does it cost Hoyoverse to run Honkai Star Rail as a live service game? One of my favorite things about this AI, it's my agent put me on game with this, is it will show you every single source that it got its information from. You can go and look at all of the sources. It will show you every single source that they got their information from. So it's really cool. But anyways, it said estimating the cost for Hoyoverse to run Honkai Star Rail as a live service game involves considering both development and ongoing operational expenses. I was trying to get a gander at what they spend money on, pretty much. Honkai Star Rail had a substantial development phase involving a 4-year R&D period with a team of 500 people. This mirrors the development scale of Genshin Impact, which had a reported initial development and marketing budget of $100 million. Given the similarities in scope and production values, it is reasonable to estimate that Honkai Star Rail might have had similar initial budget. For ongoing operational costs, Genshin Impact provides a useful benchmark. It reportedly costs $200 million annually to maintain and develop new content for Genshin Impact. Given the similarities in their live service models, it is plausible that Honkai Star Rail would incur comparable annual costs. So obviously not finally, right? So what we can like extrapolate from this is that running a live service game is fucking expensive. And so if you add a new live service game to your fucking roster of live service games, your expenses have now went up drastically. It's expensive shit. And this isn't even covering all the others. There's more fees that this isn't even going into, right? But basically, Genshin Impact costs $200 million a year just for them to run the game and provide updates, right? Throw Honkai Star Rail in there. Maybe it's another 200 million. Throw Zenless Zone Zero in there. Maybe it's another 100 million. Now we got $500 million annually, right? If I divide that by fucking 12, bro, $500 million annually divided by 12, that's $41.6 million that you got to meet bare minimum per month to be just be like going afloat above water, right? I didn't go into this in the video because I was just expecting people to put 2 and 2 together, bro. This is fucking business 101. But I definitely alluded to this by saying, can we call this a success? Are they increasing their revenue cap? I definitely went ham. But that's my point, right? Providing all that context, that was my point. And so if we come back to this video and you start around this 2 minute and 24 second mark, you'll see that I was showing the revenue for all those months. And then I went into all of my different facets of the conversation. Now that you have the full context there, let's take a look at what Pokke said.
Comment section. Yeah, I absolutely cooked him. Right? His first point was absolutely false. His first point was absolutely false. Okay, you know what? Let's go back to the video. Okay, usually
his first point was absolutely false. Right? He stated that like it was fact.
So don't do this, right? Usually I watch the entire content.
My first point was objective information, literally.
In its entirety. But this video specifically, I didn't want to care about the content that much because I want to care about the comments. The comments from it's not about Gacha, it's about the people that leave their comments in Gacha Smack's video. So the main point here was not Gacha Smack, it was the comments.
So then you should not have watched the video at all because you started at the 5-minute mark. You got distracted, right? ADHD moment. It happens to me all the time. But you didn't accept any accountability here. You took me out of context, missed all that shit I just explained to you guys. And then you started your argument right here on this very limited out of context clip.
But I still want to kind of see what Gacha I'm saying here.
Look at what, and he does it again in this video, which I think is so funny, right? He does it again, the same thing that caused me to make a video saying, what the hell, bro? You took me out of context. That's not what I said. This is what I said. He does it again, which I'm like, Pokke, bro. Brother, what are we doing? What Genshin Impact and Honkai is able to bring in before ZZZ ever came out, right. They were doing better than these numbers combined. I'm looking at Hoyoverse as a company collectively with all of their IPs. Keep in mind, he has zero clue that I was talking about all the other months that I said, oh, let's look at the month of February. Let's look at the month of March, the month of April, May. In his mind, I'm only talking about July and June.
Hoyoverse collectively did better combined before Zenless Zone Zero came out. His exact words.
Bro's doing the tech toe, but it's working against him.
Continue.
When I look at these from a business standpoint, I'm asking myself, when they drop another IP, is that IP raising their overall revenue value? Or is
Zenless Zone Zero, which is the new IP, raising Hoyoverse's overall value?
Yeah. Underperforming. When you look at this, 162 million between Genshin Impact and Honkai last month with 3 days of freeze, if that's true, versus guess what? Oh, same exact amount of money. We got 70 million, so it went up like 10 million. They didn't even outperform their 2 IPs before the brand new IP came out. So, and here's where it's easy to imply that I'm only talking about that month, but play the whole fucking video from the well, not the beginning, from the 2-minute mark up to this 5-minute mark, and you'll see that I brought in those 5 months of revenue specifically to go into this point right here.
But I'm not crazy here to say that this is just a bad take, right?
Like, why else would I bring up 5 months of revenue? You know, but he doesn't know this. That's what I'm saying. And honestly, I don't blame him for saying it's a bad take, because in his mind, he only sees this little clip, which is his fault. You know what I mean? That's the problem, the intrinsic problem with taking people out of context.
He's comparing a patch with the Firefly banners in a patch with Honky Starbucks running the Jade banner.
See? And this is why I say you are factually wrong, bro. Because that's the only point you're representing for me on my behalf.
I don't think it's wrong for me to say. This is a horrible, horrible statement to say that Xenozone Zero didn't change anything because they earned the same amount of money for this month and last month. Then his second point, after he said this point, I'm like, yep, on average, the company is gonna do better because there's like less downtime. But he said this in this video. So I should be in my well-given right to critique on this point right here. Is there any Gacha viewers that want to disagree on this? Smack says that he looks into the past months and you skip that context. There's no skipping the context.
It's like, you know what, man? I've been here before. This is the thing. This is the intrinsic problem with streaming. You get into this bulldog, stubborn mode where you just sometimes the people are actually telling you good information and they're trying to like bring you down to earth, but you're in this persona, you're in this mode, and it's like your ability to rationalize and perceive things from an objective manner is severely compromised. Like you're in full-blown stubborn mode.
The context is because previous
go back one more time.
Past months and you skip that context. There's no skipping the context.
Brother, there is literally 4K HD, you skipping the context.
Context is because previously, before Xenozone Zero came out, Hoyoverse, let's just say Hoyoverse did 100 million. After Xenozone Zero came out, Hoyoverse did 110 million.
And that's wrong. No, because I just showed you right here, Hoyoverse did more. Hoyoverse did more, okay? 185.92 on average, ZZZ 167. They did less. They did less. It's important.
Therefore, because Xenozone Zero didn't change the Hoyoverse revenue by that much, it didn't change a lot. Which is wrong, because the previous month we had Firefly, and this month we're having Jade. There's the point that I want to cook him on.
And you see, that's the issue. You're only looking at that month, not 5 months, and potentially more months. We just can't look at them for Sensory Tower. I say, no, potentially. I assure you, Genshin and Honkai have been making pretty much 200 million the majority of the fucking year off of mobile alone. I assure you. And one more important factor is nobody is taking into considerations of the live streaming expenses and fees and development costs and user acquisition and teams that are now working on this. Nobody's taking in any of this. This is the problem with the average person in the gacha community. No business like understanding at all. No business comprehension whatsoever. Bro, you look at these numbers and y'all think green, green, green without looking at the expenses. It's important to consider all of these variables. And that's why I was trying to have a very nuanced discussion in my video.
That there isn't enough data to fully comment. He's only commented on this one so far. Bro is trying to farm so hard. Or Mr. Weedle. He doesn't care, Lamfao. If he doesn't care, what the fuck do you think he made a video?
Hold on, bro. I gotta cook. Why bro look like Vegeta, bro? Why bro got Vegeta eyebrows right here? Hold on, I gotta bring this up. Look at Vegeta's eyebrows. Look at Vegeta's. This nigga got Vegeta eyebrows, bro. Oh my god, dude. Yo, that face is gold, bro. Oh my God, man. All right, what did he say? Let me go back here again. I don't want to get too off to the point. We're not going to spit. My objective here isn't to cook Pokke on every single point. I only wanted to highlight the very important stuff, but I do want to hear what he says here again.
If he doesn't care, what the fuck do you think he made a video?
Well, to be fair, content creators make videos on stuff they don't care about all the time. Yeah, I'll be honest. Like me, if y'all want the real truth of me making that video, I'll come out and say it. I know I'm honest and a motherfucker. That revenue charts video, everybody goes and typically does this, just states the surface level shit. Zenless Zone Zero made $96 million and they're number one. Haha, yeah. They just state obvious stuff, right? Like they don't really go below surface level. So when I go to those revenue charts, I say, what can I bring to the table that nobody else is bringing to the table? I can bring a nuanced discussion. I can talk about I can explore all the possibilities and avenues as to why those numbers are what they are, because it's quite an enigmatic reasoning to the outcome. It's an enigmatic reasoning to that outcome. Why do those numbers look that way? We don't have enough data. We don't have the internal data. Everything is quite scarce. So we can only take the aggregated data on the internet and make an educated guess. So I didn't make that video caring. I made that video trying to make something out of nothing, trying to create a good discussion with my community. But like I told y'all before, the Gacha community finds a way to be offended over fucking revenue numbers of companies that they don't even work for. But that's all I'm going to talk about right there. That is the fundamental reason that made me make a response video. And then here's the crazy thing, right? If you misrepresent my point of view and you take me out of context, you're doing me a disservice, right? I think I've seen this a lot with React streamers these days. React streamers are not contributing to the content creator that they're reacting to. They're not contributing to their content in a positive manner for the content creator. What I've seen these days is that they're like step on them to lift themselves up and make themselves appear smarter. And it's like a clout chase to give themselves more clout. I've seen this. I'm not saying you're guilty of it if you're a React streamer. I'm telling you, I see this a lot these days. When in reality, if you're going to monetize somebody else's content, the least you can do is try your hardest to avoid shitting on that creator or making them look worse or making their content look worse. At least try to help them gather their thoughts. Like if I was a React streamer, the last thing I'm going to do is shit on somebody and I'm monetizing their content. I'm going to try my hardest to, even if they're making shit points, to try to help them find those points, because I am, you know, it's just proper etiquette or like common decency as a tribute to me doing 1/10 of the work that they did on the content that they made. But I see these days, especially people that you're acquainted with, they'll react to your video and the last thing on their mind is what it's doing to you. You know, they don't care. It's like they take a shit in your lawn and they expect you to pick it up. And if you say anything, then you're sensitive and you have an ego, right? If I draw a line and I say, yo, bro, hey, you just shit in my lawn, you gonna pick that up? No, I'm not. And that's not my fault either. Like, so when I cook back, you know what I mean? Then all of a sudden I'm egotistical and I'm overly sensitive. Nope. And let this be a message. I'm talking to content creators. I'm talking to people in real life. It's don't even got to pertain to content. If a motherfucker tries to tell you that you are too egotistical and that you're overly sensitive because you chose to defend yourself, that's a gaslight and you don't let that shit slide. Draw the line every time. In fact, your ego needs to be bigger than Vulcan standing on top of Tectone's shoulders with Escanor on top of his shoulders at noon. A wise man once said, you give a motherfucker an inch, they're gonna take a mile. So the minute they take that inch, yeet, hey, right here, brother. You cross it, I'm knocking your head off your shoulders. Draw that line every time. And if they take issue with it, tell them, hey, don't watch my content. That's simple. You got a problem with my ego? You got a problem with my sensitivity? Well, just don't watch my content. That's what I'm going to say about that situation. The last thing I want to end off with, Pokke and anybody else, you can disagree with my content. You can bake my ass. You can roast me, make fun of me, laugh, right? You know what I mean? Like talk about my damn wrinkles, my big forehead, whatever. My one rule, do not take me out of context and do not try to misrepresent my point of view. Argue for your behalf. Argue on your behalf, but don't argue for me, because chances are your ass is missing the mark every time, you know? So it's like, do not misrepresent my point of view and do not take me out of context. If you cannot pay me this bare minimum requirement, just don't watch my content. That's all I'm gonna say about that. We're gonna wrap it up. This is my last time talking about this shit too. Peace, love, and happiness. I'll catch you guys on the flip side.